Nicholas, hi. Look at Auntie Kathy. Nicholas, look here and say hello. Hello.
What's up, baby?
Stupid. Wow. How cool and meta this is. People really like the fourth wall stuff. It's pretty clever, and maybe it'll rope them into watching this entire video, this super long 20 fucking nearly 20 I spent the last couple months making. I did it for you. I hope you know that. I hope you know that I love you. And that's really just documenting my transition into art and how and why things change for me over time. Because while I am pretty confident right now and I feel very inspired because there's a lot of changes happening, as Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. I have yet to be rocked. And I think once that happens, I'm going to learn a whole new set of lessons that's going to change my philosophy and change the way that I view Yeah, totally. I'd say the past 3 months has been like getting punched in the face repeatedly, learning a lot of new lessons, just constant cycles of, you know what, I'm going to shut the hell up and just stick to the script of what I wrote and prepared for you all today. Enjoy. I know it's long, but I hope it's interesting for you.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Nothing.
It took me a while to make this video because I wanted it to be an everything synthesis of my life since August, but things change so fast and I've had to do a lot of real-time editing on my perspective. So here's my verbal enema of 3 months worth of backed up things to say over some B-roll. For the past 3 months, I've been spending my time learning about and making art at school and working at a restaurant on my off days. And I've noticed 4 pretty notable changes in myself. I'd say number 1, my relationship with art is deeper. I just feel a lot more now when I look at art and when I make it. 2, I'm a bolder person now. I've just been given a lot more breathing room to let the intrusive thoughts win more often. I'm a painting student and part-time busboy. I'm a nobody. 3, I'm more aware of my bullshit. I've been facing a lot of new challenges and experiences that have exposed me to new areas of improvement in myself. And 4, I'm just getting over myself in ways that aren't productive. And this looks like knowing my limitations, not taking every social interaction personally, and just being okay with going to bed some days knowing that some days are just fucked. The biggest epiphany I've had to date is that this whole thing isn't even about art. It's really about finding personal security in what I want in life. Because when I dig into why I do what I do, I realize that I'm just looking for an uncorrupted sense of direction. I don't want to play stupid games, and I don't want to waste my time checking other people's boxes. And I wouldn't say I do this because I'm a contrarian. I just think that it's tough to navigate the effectively infinite menu of very, very attractive reasons and possibilities in life in a way that works for me. And so far, I haven't figured out how to do that. I noticed that I've historically used the past as a guide to the future. I've worked hard to now be the guy I wanted to be in college, who was the guy I wanted to be in high school, who was the guy I wanted to be in middle school, and it just feels like I'm playing catch up, just chasing my own tail. And is it embarrassing to admit that? Absolutely, but it feels necessary because for me, moving on without addressing the past makes me feel like I skipped an episode and I'm missing valuable context that explains the rest of the plot. And at 26, I struggle with feeling insignificant. It's a feeling I've struggled with since I was a teenager, and it makes my self-worth dependent on being seen. It was definitely easier to live this way when I was in school because there was structure and direction, but in the big, scary adult world of go be alone and make money, it's tough to feel like anything matters. And I think that's a large part of why I make art and why I'm making this video. I'm trying to mythologize things that I've done and things that have happened to me in a way that feels like it's all making sense, like it's adding up to something good. Because if life is just a perpetual state of confusion, labor, and low-grade misery, then that kind of sucks, right? And in terms of art school, how things are going is a hard question to answer because it's less about the state of things and more about my evolving relationship with art. I feel like I started out eager and naive, then I passed through a difficult period of frustration and disillusionment, and now I feel like I'm just beginning to understand what this all is and be okay with it. Because before I knew I'd be spending hours alone in a windowless cubicle prison of a studio, I thought I had a decent sense of what being an artist would look like. You know, at best I saw myself at the opening night of an exhibition, wine glass in hand, socializing with cool, hot, weird art people, and then cap off the night with some crazy fucking pansexual orgy in someone's penthouse. But that's really just a screenwriter's caricature of life as an artist, which in reality is a lot more underwhelming. It's just me alone in a room with materials to make stuff. And at the same time, it's also really intimidating because of all the possibilities and zero rules. Anything is fair game in art. Any interesting painting idea can also be a poem, a short story, a sculpture, a performance, or even a conversation. As long as it gets out of my head, that's the point. And every time I walk into my studio, I look at all the materials laying around and I'm like, what do I even do with all this stuff? And then I sit down and I start working and I'm thinking, what the fuck am I doing? And then hours later, I step back to see that I've made something and I'm like, whoa. How did I do that? How do I know how to do that? It's so weird. It's such a weird feeling. I love it because that experience of making something cool and showing it to someone is crack for me. But I hate it because getting to that point feels like you're walking through the valley of the shadow of death. It's full of doubt and cynical thoughts, and nothing has made me face myself like art has. It's helped me deconstruct a lot of my beliefs, assumptions, and standards, and it's pushed me to be more open as a person. Now I've noticed I don't resist seeing and accepting new things as much as I used to, and I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I've reached enlightenment. I have plenty of bad days. You know, in fact, for a couple of weeks, I lost faith in what I was doing, and I got really depressed. Being an artist is lonely, heavy stuff sometimes, and I had a lot of cynical thoughts like,
art school is bullshit. It's just paying to have a captive audience give a shit about my shitty art and teach me how to make it less shitty based on their own shitty opinions. And once this big shit show is over, things get quiet and I go into the world and I toil in anonymity and I don't make it. And I'm probably not gonna make it. And why do I think I can make it? Because other people believe in me. And why do they believe in me? Because I'm better than them or the average person at painting, talking, and making videos? Like, they don't know what I'm up against. They just wish me well in a vague, detached way, like telling me to have a safe flight, but I'm the pilot and I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing. I mean, I'm doing art, but art is just self-important arts and crafts. And any honest artist knows that nobody knows or can say what art is, let alone what good art or a good artist is. It's just useless masturbation, and there's nothing special about being an artist anymore anyways. Especially in the content-saturated world of Instagram, TikTok, NFTs, AI-generated art, and bullshit art selling for millions. Like, nobody knows what's going on with art, and most people consider themselves artsy because they curate their posts and their playlists, and they own a pair of Doc Martens, and they have a septum piercing. Like, artsy is good enough for most people, so why am I going balls to the walls as an artist in an increasingly artsy and commoditized social world? Like, why not just go back to my desk job and be artsy in my free time? It seems better hedged for risk and social status.
Like, you get the point here. And no diss on Doc Martens or nose piercings. I have both because I'm a basic artsy bitch. But these are the kind of doubts that got to me. And I used to debate myself over my doubts, but the older I get, the more I'm learning to just stamp it out immediately. Like when you see a cockroach run across the floor. Like, I'm losing respect for my doubts because I realize it's just a pyramid scheme for fear. My doubt likes to present itself as rationality, but the only logic behind every doubt I have is that there are good reasons to feel scared, therefore I should be scared, therefore I should quit. And doubt is always going to be like this because it doesn't have dreams or hope or imagination. It only knows what's familiar. It's scared of challenges, and it wants me to be a little bitch boy. And knowing this, I'm cool with trying things, even if I fail or end up being kind of a loser, because I realize I can live with trying. And it takes a lot for me to say that because I've spent most of my life being terrified of ending up as a loser. I come from a family of well-educated, materially successful people. I attended elite schools with extremely driven peers, I've just been surrounded my whole life by people who win, and it's really hard to allow myself to expect any less for myself in the same way that I generally expect less for other people. And it sounds fucked up to say that, but I imagine many talented and or privileged people think this way, that since they have more gifts than the average person, they should expect more from themselves and more out of life. I'm definitely wired this way. I tend to be uncommonly hard on myself because I feel like I'm uncommonly capable of doing ambitious things in the world, and that's why being okay never felt like an option for me. But I'm trying to get over that because it really stops me from trying things and finding things that I might actually like. I'd much rather just push myself to do things out of appreciation for who I am and curiosity for what I can do with my one short life, because anything else is just fear dressed up as perfectionism. And it's funny, like, in order to be more, I've had to learn to expect less for myself. I'm just not as afraid of my own mediocrity as much as I used to be. I kind of expect it now. I accept it as okay. And I think that's what humility really means. It's being meek and inheriting a small world of joy, peace, and freedom for myself. I'm an artist, which means that I have a disposition to perceive, metabolize, and express things. And the aim is not to create things, but to live a psychologically rich life that nourishes my creativity. It's less of what I do and what I make and more of how I choose to live. I still don't know a lot about art. I still get overwhelmed when I scroll through art Instagram or walk into art stores and see all the materials that I'll probably never use. But I feel differently about art now, in a way that's opened me up to seeing and appreciating a little more of life. And working in a restaurant has also been a great teacher. I've learned to take myself less seriously in ways that don't actually matter. There's always something to do, a way you could have done it better, and plenty of ways to fuck it up. And I've had to learn how to expect that and not let it frustrate me. I'm better than this is one of my most self-limiting beliefs. It makes me rigid, and I can't grow if I'm not flexible. I'm learning to accept that I actually am how I perceive others. I'm a bit of a character with quirks, soft spots, and fuck-ups, and the more I let this sink in, the closer I get to existing as my most fun, easygoing, and gracious self. A self that feels less entitlement and a greater awareness and appreciation for the lives of others. Before I worked in a restaurant, my brain would respond to food on a table as a phenomenon. I paid good money, and here it is. But I overlooked how much labor goes into providing the product and service that is food and hospitality. Nothing is an accident. Every delicious, picture-worthy plate of food is a product of labor from a lot of people, and this applies to everything else I enjoy in my life. The labor of other people makes it possible, and oftentimes, it's the labor of people who don't make much money, and they go home exhausted, preparing to do it all again tomorrow. And they go through a lot of shit that most people who just make good money and consume things don't usually face. I'd say by far, the most difficult part of working in a restaurant for me is managing my emotions. I experience shame, disrespect, and misunderstanding, and as much as I hate that shit, it's shown me what most people in the world deal with daily, and you just have to have a strong mental game. There's so much power in mindset, and it isn't a new lesson for me, but it's one that I keep having to relearn in new situations around different people, because I'd say I'm a sensitive, honest person at my core. I'm also very easily triggered by people who come across to me as passive-aggressive, vindictive, or hypocritical. And while I can take the approach of not taking them seriously as human beings, or just saying, hey, fuck them, I feel like that's just not who I want to be. Especially since I know how shitty it feels to be around people with poor emotional control. It's like they need to cast that negative energy onto someone else as a human sacrifice. And I definitely do this too. I'm guilty of it sometimes. And I really resent myself when I act that way, so I'm working on that. And I'm trying to approach frustrating situations in the restaurant, like scenario-based trainings for character, like that "What Would You Do" show. Like some host is gonna come around the corner with cameras and be like, dude, you handled that like dog shit. I'm practicing neutralizing negative energy in myself in response to shitty people, quote unquote, because I don't think these people are genuinely shitty in the same way that I don't think that I'm genuinely shitty. I just think that they're fucked up and they can't help themselves to care to do better, like kids. And I used to think I needed thicker skin and better comebacks for these people, but that's hurt person talking. You know, that's how the world tells me I'm supposed to protect myself. But I realize what we all need is a deeper emotional well, because at the end of the day, thicker skin doesn't know how to say I love you or I'm sorry and really mean it. And I don't want that for myself. I don't want to be calloused to shitty people just because I don't give a fuck, because I do. And I know I'm always going to give a fuck because that's just how I'm built. And I'd rather have a strong emotional immune system that is really good at fighting negative energy. On the related topic of personal growth, I've also been questioning what it means to figure out who I am and what I want as an adult. For starters, I had to take a social media cleanse. And not on some self-important eat, pray, love shit, but because I live in a world of delusion on social media. Like I use it as a tool to represent myself to others, like everybody else. But the scary thing for me is that I also start to believe it for myself. And when I experience myself outside of that in the real world, it just feels like a shitty book to film adaptation. Like social media also tells me what I should want. And every time I close out of a social media app, I can't tell you 5 things I saw over the course of hours I spent scrolling, but I always leave with a feeling that I need to dress better or attract hotter women or be cooler. Like it's always something. And this is the point of social media. It's to feel significant. Like the little life I live every day is actually doing something. You know, my food pictures matter, my face matters, what I'm doing matters. It's all just propaganda for FOMO. It's counter evidence I use to deny the reality that I'm gonna die. I don't really matter that much. Because otherwise I'd have to face the very real fact that I have no idea how to live when I'm alone and when things get quiet. You know, if I get sick or when my parents die, basically the point at which these stupid status games don't matter anymore. And so much of what I do, I realize, is just playing status games. I think everybody does it, especially in this day and age. Social comparison feels inevitable, and I believe we're all saying something about it in the presence of other people, whether we choose to or not. Like the next time you're with people, just pay attention to what they say and how they say it. Yourself too. Just notice how not neutral it is, how it more or less subliminally proposes a status relationship between people or a bid to be perceived in a certain way. And once you can see this, you can easily make out how in touch people are with themselves and what matters to them. And a lot of people, myself included, care about really stupid shit. Either that or they haven't seriously considered what's important to them. And I've witnessed so many cautionary tales of grown people who are winners as measured through conventional milestones, and they don't seem like they have good lives. It's like the only pleasure they have in life is patting themselves on the back for being winners and luxuriously relieving themselves from all the work it takes to be a winner. I think this is such a miserably inflated and paradoxical and exhausting way to look for fulfillment in life. And I've yet to meet an older person who lives in a way I find aspirational for myself. And maybe that's why I feel so confused and cynical and hopeful as a young person, because I'm trying to build a sense of direction and faith that I can be a person I admire and create a life that I like. And this to me is what adulthood and coming of age is all about. It's learning how to be my own hero. I want to practice proper identity hygiene and thoughtfully curate who and what I allow to influence me. I want to understand myself and accept my limitations to the degree that I am able to define what enough looks like for myself. Enough money, enough things, enough success. And I'm still playing stupid games with stupid people for stupid reasons and stupid prizes, and that's okay because I'm learning through experience how to trust and manage myself and know myself. And I truly believe that there is a knowing in all of this, even when things I do don't end up being healthy or necessary, because in a roundabout way, it's all productive because living is about input, not output. And just like art, the overall mechanics of life are often underwhelmingly simple. It's just me existing in space with time and materials. I'm just here to act, make decisions, and experience things. There's nowhere I'm meant to go, and there's nothing I'm meant to do. And it's a beautifully, tragically pointless thing, like cleaning my apartment, because even though I know I'm inevitably going to undo my own efforts and find myself cleaning up after myself again, I do it anyways. Because it's not about being caught in a frustrating cycle of doing, undoing, and redoing. It's about losing myself in the act of cleaning, enjoying that small, satisfying moment of seeing and smelling everything in order, and experiencing all the small moments of life in my apartment that necessitate cleaning it again. And this is why it's important for me to live a life that I alone approve of, and I alone am at peace with. I'm just a character in a story that I'm making for myself to read. I'm the writer crafting the narrative, I'm the actor performing it, I'm the audience tuning in, I'm the director guiding the performance, and I'm the producer bearing risk and ownership over the production of my life. My point is not that I can do anything that I want, but that my life is insignificant, I am going to die, and I'm just here to write a good story for myself. My friend Jacob once told me, I realized how much I love camping more than anything in the world, and it dawned on me that in this short life, any time I spend not doing this is stupid. Like, mic drop. Because there is nothing I can do in exchange for more life. When I say more life, I don't simply mean longevity. I mean living a rich life that honors my one-of-one precious human spirit. That's the kind of mentality that I want to continue leading me through life. All right, all of this is being done in hopes that I can produce something that I would be proud of watching, that I would find compelling, funny, entertaining, something that would just, that's the kind of life I'm trying to build. Check this out, I'm about to get some sick B-roll. Shit. God damn it. Nick Chung, you fucking for people who took time out of their day. Am I having a fucking stroke? Why can't I speak English? I think we're ready to go.